Yeah. All right, I didn't want to. Okay. Okay. Good morning. My name is Steve Quello with CEO Nexus and representing the Edward Lowe Foundation. I want to welcome you here to the Economic Gardening CEO Forum. And as a program note, I just want everyone to know we will be recording this session. It will be available at a later date. And if you become involved in the program through questions or some interaction, if you have a chance, wait for the mic so that we could bring that to you and then make it part of the interaction. And then Angie has has more time to react to whatever that might be. So I want to welcome everyone and begin by actually letting our host here, Julie Wishnak with the Minnetonka Community Development Group Department. Welcome you to her turf.
Thank you. Thanks. Who was here last month? Oh, good. Okay, I won't repeat myself. Just welcome, and welcome to those new people. Minnetonka is home to almost 50,000 employees, and that's about the same as our population. So we have really a robust commercial area in Minnetonka, and so we're happy to have you, and we're happy to have you here at City Hall, which is such a beautiful campus and a great place to host a meeting. It's really nice, too, that we have some really great tech people. I do want to thank them in the back there behind that window. His name is Jeff Dulac, and he's actually making it a live stream today, I believe. And so that's really cool to have that available to those folks who couldn't be here physically. So thanks to him, and thanks for having this in Minnetonka. Thanks, Steve.
Our pleasure. Other acknowledgments, I want to thank those funders and founders that make this possible throughout the years, and Hennepin County, Carver County, Scott County, Ramsey County, Anoka County, they've all contributed in a way that makes the scholarships available for you as CEOs and for those that have graduated to participate and benefit from the program. So I want to acknowledge, I think of that group, Patrick Kanoy is probably the only county representative, and he's still working the desk out front. There he is. So give him a wave. And if you have any questions, by all means, look him up, because he really has gone to bat for entrepreneurship and second stage CEOs. And while he's not active in our confidential discussions, he wants to know what's going on and how he can help, and if there's some way he can connect you with other resources in the community and beyond that will help you grow your business. Beyond that, our Edward Lowe Foundation representative last month, Penny Lewandowski, and all that they do behind the scenes, things that you don't necessarily see, the greenhouse, I guess, for our members, and a lot of the preparation of the research team and the certification that makes them a better team to serve you. They contribute to that as well. And then on the community level, we've got community partners. Northeast Bank has been hosting events throughout the year. Veritas will be hosting us next month over in the Roseville area. And then here in town and here tonight, always with refreshments and a cheery attitude, Joe Conradi with Insperity. I'll just give him a chance to say hello.
Hello. Good morning. And I see that all of you survived St. Patty's Day yesterday, so that's great, early morning start. Just wanted to say thank you very much for being here, and also for allowing us to have an opportunity to share with you what we do every day, which is to help businesses be successful so that communities can prosper. Because that's really what we're all about. We're here to help you with your employee engagement and to see about increasing your bottom line 10 to 15% just by the things that we do. So thank you for being here this morning. We really enjoy being a part of this program. It's a fantastic one. This is, I think, the start of my 4th year to being involved with it, so it's just wonderful. Thanks, Steve.
All right. Thank you, Joe, and thank you, Insperity. For those that are new to the program or that may be listening in and haven't had the benefit of the background that those in the audience have had, I just want to give a quick snapshot on economic gardening. Founded in the 1990s in Colorado, a fellow named Chris Gibbons basically looked at an economic development problem and brought an entrepreneurial mindset. Fast forward 20 years as they vetted that process, Florida adopted his model and then scaled it statewide. So it was the first instance where a functioning local program suddenly was delivered on a broad scale. And then fast forward to 2011, here in Minnesota, we launched what we really think is the future of economic gardening, is how to integrate the elements of the forum events like tonight or today, the roundtables, and then the research, which is the bedrock of that program. And we call that the Minnesota model because it's not done like that anywhere else. And by integrating those three services, we found that companies benefit and they grow at a faster rate in job production. So thank you to all that have made that possible. So We're about halfway, or just over halfway into the program this year, and it's the time when we like to invite those that are in the program to step up and say something about what they've learned or what that experience has been like, because it's an unusual program, and give our funders and founders a chance to hear from their vantage point, benefits received and opinions that they've developed about economic gardening from their vantage point. So with that, I want to invite up John Dustin with Summit Enviro Solutions and ask him just to share, whether it's on the forums, the research, or the roundtables, what it's been like on the inside.
Well, good morning. Yes, my name's John Dustman, and I am the president and CEO of Summit Enviro Solutions. We are a very mature second stage company, and being heavily involved in the fossil fuels and mining industries, we've seen a real challenge in the last year, and that wasn't even in the equation when I applied for the program. But it's obviously turned into an unbelievable coincidental set of circumstances that have really led me here. And I am just getting so much out of this program. I haven't missed a single function since I was out of town at the first roundtable. But I really do see this as kind of relationships, roundtable, and research, and almost in that order. And the research that I've received, I believe, will be hugely beneficial as we kind of retool and refocus our company. We think we've got an opportunity for a 2,000 to 3,000 person consultancy globally because we deal with water and we hear so much about water. I am a hydrogeologist, but I've also, some of the lessons that I've learned here, I've been familiar with the EOS system. I was familiar with some of the strength finder concepts, but I think what I've learned so far and vetting this out, and thanks so much to Steve, the mentoring and the leadership that he provides, I just feel like I'm set for growth. So thank you.
Thank you, John, and keep up the good work. And again, I'd open mic here. If there's another member, past or present, that would like to share a comment, I like to get the story out through the voice of our members. And again, I'm not going to call on Brian again, even though he did a great job last month. But if anyone has a comment, this would be a time to share. And if not, talk to our supporters after the fact so they can hear from you, because that's really what counts. Any takers? Okay. All right. Well, with that, let's get to the heart of the program, why we're here, and that is to learn from someone who's done it. And basically, I'll give you a little bit of background on Angie and the firm, and then she has the floor to tell us her story, and how in her migrating through and beyond second stage, there are things she's learned and done that would help us do the same. So as background, Angie's Boomchickapop, we see it everywhere. I'm now a Florida resident, but we see it everywhere, Publix and beyond, so thank you for that. The company was started in 2001 when Angie and her husband Dan bought a kettle online and started popping kettle corn for local markets, events, and in their garage. So it's the classic company starting out of the garage. And what began as some ancillary income for a college nest egg and to teach the children the value of hard work and focus on sort of their future has grown to an enterprise of over 200 people and international in its delivery of the products and services. So along the way, Angie received the 2015 ACG Bold Award, and her husband, which is for corporate growth. An ACG, highly credible, recognized organization around corporate growth and access to capital. And the same year, she was induced to the Minnesota Business Owner Hall of Fame, Women's Hall of Fame. So the accolades have followed her success, and what we want to hear today is her story on how to expand for success and growing her business from the inside out. So with that, would you join me in welcoming Angie Bastian?
Now, let me see if I can figure out how to work this correctly. Thank you for having me. I just want to first acknowledge and congratulate all of you for starting something, for creating. Entrepreneurship is really about the creation of and the art of business. And And that's really all my husband and I had was the art. We knew nothing about the science. So that we learned along the way. So what I'm interested today in telling you is kind of how we sort of learned and some lessons along the way, and then also kind of to really just emphasize that it's really about taking action and doing it in a way that's congruent with who you are. So, I think my slides got scrambled, but let's start here. Dan and I had 2 children, 3 and 5. And, well, you know what? I'll go back. We'll do this. We had children 3 and 5 at the time. That's our engagement picture up there on the top. We had that on one of our first bags, because we wanted to be kind of fun, you know, and the bag looked kind of serious. But there's the little garage. There's the little garage that we started our little popcorn company in, our little kettle corn company. And that was in 2001. I was a nurse practitioner working at the state hospital. Dan was a school teacher, history and Spanish. And we kind of said, oh, no, we haven't started a college fund for our kids. Let's do it. Let's figure out how we do this. So the obvious answer to us was to start a business. And we bought this kettle online, hauled it into that little garage right there, set a tent outside of that garage, and started popping kettle corn for Minnesota State University events, farmers markets, fairs, anytime anyone would let us pop. We were out in front of Rainbow Foods. We were out in front of Home Depot and Taste of Minnesota, and Moondogs, amateur baseball, where anybody would let us pop. And we thought that this would be a good idea because we could teach our children and bring them along and teach them how to do work. What we didn't really think about is that they were 3 and 5, you know? And this is true for entrepreneurs. You don't think sometimes. You just do, right? And so, but we brought them along, and as you'll notice, like in front of our little tent, you know, we would always have like a curtain there or something where we could store things and push the kids under there with their books and their blankets, and so they could take a nap or whatever, and then they'd pop up and we'd say, okay, this is how you make change, and this is how you look at someone in the eye, and this is how you say thank you, you know? So, you know, learning can happen at any stage, and all of that was all fine and good, and it lasted for about a week and a half, and then thank God for Grandma and Grandpa to help us out as we began to grow. So we started, and we looked like this, and there is nobody at that time that would have ever guessed that we would be, you know, the size that we are now. But we just kept doing it. We just kept working at it, and on in the spring of 2002, we got the opportunity to work at Vikings training camp. They said, okay, you're in. Vikings come to Mankato. So what we did is we set up this little stand at Vikings training camp, and we were serving, you know, the people that were coming. And we said, you know, wouldn't it be really fun if the actual players ate our popcorn? My husband's a huge Vikings fan, and we said, let's just figure this out. Like, let's make some phone calls. We know they're staying in Gage Towers. Let's see if they'll just take our popcorn. At the time, it was Randy Moss and Dante Culpepper, and so some security guard said, yeah, I'll get it in there for you, you know? And they called the Vikings, and the Vikings said, yeah, we'll take it as long as it's free. We were like, okay, great. Thankfully, we're making popcorn and not microchips, right? You know? So we popped 120 bags, and we sent it off to Gage Towers on a Sunday night while they watched film. The next morning, players and coaches and trainers were all kind of like circling around our tent and saying, oh, we love this stuff. We you know, can we get some more? What we didn't understand at the time is that we were marketing to influencers. We didn't understand that. We just wanted them to, we just thought it would be fun if they had access to our product. And it was a sense of pride for us, like, hey, the Vikings ate our kettle corn. But what that led to was a contract with the Minnesota Vikings, and from their sales and marketing team that then came to us and said, hey, do you want to be the official kettle corn of the Minnesota Vikings? And my husband's first question was, does it come with tickets? Because that was his agenda. And we were like, yeah, they said, we can work that out. Comes with tickets. You can pop in front of the Metrodome. This was 2002, so nothing entered in an NFL stadium in 2002 because of 9/11. And we knew our big bags of kettle corn, no one would just eat half a bag, you know, in 0-degree weather in December, you know, and then throw the rest away and go inside. We were like, how is that a value for the people that are buying it? So we don't know how we're going to make back this $8,000 that we didn't have to be a sponsor. And so we just said to the Vikings, a lesson, ask, right? So can you just ask the NFL if it would be okay if people took it into the Metrodome? And they said, sure, we'll ask. Well, you know, what's the harm in asking, right? So the Vikings, on our behalf, asked the NFL if it would be okay. And they said, okay, if you're vouching for them, they can bring it into the Metrodome. As far as we know, we were the only product in 2002 that entered into any NFL stadium. And this was a lesson for us. Ask, you know, figure out a solution, figure out a way that it can work instead of just saying, oh, you know, it's not going to work. So, and actually we never even thought about it's not going to work. We're going to like, these are the reasons why it might not work, so let's figure out how it works. And so that we were in business. And the Vikings, we learned a lot. The NFL and professional sports can teach you a lot about marketing. And we sat back and we watched how they marketed and learned from them and partnered with them. And we've, you know, for a little mom and pop sort of company like us, it gave us immediate legitimacy when we went in to talk to Taste of Minnesota or other venues. But what it also did for us is it gave us a larger audience. You know, we were based in Mankato, Minnesota, and it gave us the metro audience that were attending NFL games. And what that led to in 2003 was a meeting with Lunds and Byerly's, a buyer there, who we walked in with that bag, you know, and he's like, I like the product, but you guys are still popping in your garage, right? Or in a tent, and you've kind of got a little work to do. And we said, okay, we'll do that work. Will you see us again? And he said, sure. So at that point in 2003, we moved the operation indoors. And so 2004, we entered into grocery stores, 3 Lunds and Byerly's and 1 St. Peter Food Co-op. We rented 150 square feet in the back of a grocery store and bought 1 kettle, indoor kettle. We bought a small like sealer, and we fashioned like a sifting table. And we started our indoor operation, which for us, the most important thing for us when we did that was that it remained an authentic product to what we were doing in outdoors. And what we didn't realize at the time is that we were creating a process that was not in the marketplace yet. Because the way that they were creating kettle corn at the time and what was on the shelf was air-popped popcorn sprayed with corn syrup. And we were like, that is not authentic kettle corn, and we're going to do it. We're going to find a way to do it, because we knew directly from our customers, because we were directly interacting with them, that they knew the difference, and we were going to deliver to them what they wanted. And so we started. And that 150 square feet we grew out of in about 8 months. We began looking for another place. We bought a building, which North Mankato Port Authority helped us fund. We had to promise we would create 8 jobs. And you know, testifying in a place like this, when you look kind of like we did before, was kind of scary. But the county and the city worked with us, and so we bought this building. And we outgrew that space in about 18 months and then moved into a production facility in 2007. And we started producing, and we built for the future. And what I would say is that by 2007, we were rocking. We were moving. And we didn't even know where we were going. We just knew that we were trying to keep up. And then we bought a bagger, and we started looking like a very sort of serious company. And we started showing up. In 2009, Costco brought us in, and 2010, Martha Stewart called and just said, hey, you know, she didn't actually call. You know, she did. Her producers called and said, hey, you know, we're doing a gluten-free day. I noticed you're gluten-free certified. Will you come and be on the show? And so so she wanted our kettle corn recipe for her viewers, and we were like, well, does that give away our secret? I don't know, but we feel like this is what we wanted. This was good for us, you know? So it's like every kind of decision that you make, you kind of weigh like, what's the best thing? And for us, it was going with our instinct, like what's the right thing for the business. And so we said, let's go. I created a small stovetop recipe for her. We taught Martha how to pop kettle corn. And it started getting crazy after that. And so with this crazy stuff that was going on, like we weren't sleeping much, and Dan and I just took a step back, and we were like, hold on, like, why did we start this thing anyway? And it was really about our kids. And so we said, you know what, we hadn't yet paid ourselves. I continued to work. I started a small contracting business. I, as a nurse practitioner, contracted my time back to the counties, the city, and the local hospital, and did on-call for the docs to give myself flexibility so that I could do the books after I put the kids to bed and and then Dan quit teaching, and he started building out this operation early on, and we started hiring a few people, like retired teachers, MSU students, people like that to help us pop. Our first wage that we were able to pay was about $8 an hour, and that was for 2 people, Don and Jeannie. And they were retired teachers, they wanted to work together, and we said, this is what we can pay, and they were like, we don't care. We want to do this, we want to work together, and as soon as we could start paying them more, we paid them more. But they were willing to take a risk and jump on with us. And so what we did with Don and Jeannie at the time is that they would take over some of the demos for us so that we could be with our kids. And we had this sort of fluid relationship so that we could stay true to the motivation of why we started in the first place. Now, our kids, I would say, my son Tripp, who was about 6 at the time, said, why are you doing this kettle corn thing anyway? And I said to him, well, because maybe someday when you grow up, you could run a kettle corn business or popcorn business. And, you know, at 6, he looked at me like, no can do, I'm going pro. Baseball, right? 6-year-old. But what it made us do is kind of stop and go, hold on. Our kids have their own dreams, their own ideas, their own life. This is not theirs. It's ours. And so if we do the broader thing and teaching them to dream and then work towards that dream, that's good. That's our job. And so I think that in itself helped influence how we thought about the business moving forward. And so when private equity approached us, it helped us make a decision based upon how we thought about our family and our children. The next thing I would say is the way that we thought about our family and our children and the people that we brought in, we felt like they were family. And so as our business began to grow, the only way we really knew how to incorporate employees was to kind of bring them in as extended family. It was about building the relationship with them, treating them like family. And it's hard to do because in 2010, we hired 101 people in 60 days to keep up with production. So that's really hard to assimilate that many people into a culture, but we tried our best. Here are statistics today. So one of the things that we've done here in the last, as our company has matured, is that we had a lot of sort of part-time folks, a lot of people coming and going in production. What we've been able to do is to be able to create some full-time positions living wage on the production floor, full benefits, and we've just been able to create 8 weeks paid leave for maternity and paternity leave, which is, you know, if we're a business that says we're about family, we have to do that, right? And we were just able to accomplish that this year. So some of the things, so here are our most recent statistics, and one of the things that's what I'm very proud of is that our level of diversity within our company is higher than the Mankato demographic, and that's broadly across all of our divisions. And it fluctuates some. Last year we had 55% women in senior and mid-management. We've also had women that have left and started their own business. So this is something that for us we track all the time. We want to make sure that we're measuring ourselves in a way that's congruent with what we believe. In the other part of being sort of the way Dan and I, being married, building a business, is the way we thought about it is we didn't always agree. We were, but as parents, you kind of like duke it out and then give the unified front to your kids. And that's how we did business too. And the other part of that is for our kids. It has been so important for us to teach them the importance of community, the importance of giving back, the importance of supporting the people that have supported you. And so early on in our business, we had a slowdown around Thanksgiving, but we had employees on our floor that couldn't really afford not to work. We looked at the numbers and we said, okay, how can we use their time, you know? And so we can pay them, let's figure out a way to use their time. So we sent them over to Kids Against Hunger. They made, in 2 days, we paid them to go there. They made 93,000 meals in 2 days that then got sent to the Haitian relief. And that picture, those 2 pictures ended up on the front page of, and we didn't know the newspaper was going to be there, but that ended up on the front page of the Free Press. And our employees that had never volunteered before were on the front page. They were so proud. And it set the tone kind of for what this company is about. We're about community, and there's internal community, and then there's the external community, the bridges that you make to the place that you live. And that started a trend within our company. We had independent third shift maintenance guys start a polar plunge team, and he finally talked me into jumping in that freezing cold water a couple years ago. And then the other part for us was if we couldn't physically be present, or if we couldn't give with capital or cash in some way, we would try to support with product. And again, we're fortunate that we have popcorn. You know, so we would try to contribute. Babies, walk for autism, whatever we could. We tried to be just present and contribute. What owning a business also does, and this is where I need to figure out how to run my video, is as our company grew, I began to be able to do some interesting things that was personally satisfying to me. And I had an interest in supporting organic farmers and to understand organic popcorn. And so we sponsored, I'll give you the cue, okay? We sponsored research at the University of Minnesota to research organic popcorn out in Lamberton. We wanted to launch a product and vertically integrate. It was 2012, there was a drought, didn't really have good results from our research, and the Farm Bill wasn't signed yet, so then we learned about political issues around agriculture and farming and organics. And what we discovered, though, is that we might not be able to vertically integrate. We did launch an organic product, but we weren't able to do it because of this research. But what we did instead is say, how can we shift this, what seems to be like, you know, a languishing program, into something else? And what we decided to do is shift it into a direct, like, let's give this information to people who are interested in gardening, interested in growing their own food, teaching children. So what we did is we gave 6 million seeds away to people who wanted to grow their own popcorn, to teach them about their food. And we gave it to Girl Scouts and families and schools. And if you show the video, this is sort of a summary of the program. So it was fun. And this year I'm sponsoring the Southern Minnesota Children's Museum Boomchickapop Garden. That will be a total organic garden along with vegetables, and children can learn and grow and pull their own weeds, and hopefully they won't stomp out the stomp out the popcorn, but we're going to compost there, and we're going to so there are so many ways that you can like pivot in a business. And this is an example of a way that we saw this as an operations challenge to create a product and to deliver on that product. And then when that didn't really work, we shifted it into a marketing opportunity and an educational opportunity. And so this has led, this year we've just announced a partnership with Food Corps, which is an organization that helps schools. They put AmeriCorps volunteers with schools to help schools grow gardens and teach children about healthy meals, healthy food, healthy choices, and we're partnering with them to do that, as well as helping grow popcorn in their gardens. The other thing we did is everybody does pink sort of products, right? And I was like, I'm a nurse, and if we're going to do pink, we're going to kind of do it the way I want to do it, okay? And the way I wanted to do it was to make sure that the money that we raised got as close to patients and the research as possible. So we met with the Mayo Clinic, and they were doing a project called the Beauty Project that was doing very specific research on rapidly growing breast cancers, 200-person study 3 years ago, which they've now completed, and they're on to prostate cancer and then lymphomas. And so our pink that we did in market was donated to the Mayo Clinic. Products. Now, how do we develop new products? The mantra is, let's do products that are okay for my kids, right? So I'm a mom, so let's make products that I'm proud to feed my children. And let's use natural flavors, natural products, no preservatives, no artificial colors. Let's use the highest quality ingredients. We have made our business to be non-GMO popcorn, and most popcorn is non-GMO, but let's take it a step further. Let's guarantee and be verified. We were the first verified, branded, non-GMO verified popcorn product in the marketplace because our consumers ask us about it. We lived in the natural and organic section of grocery stores, and so those consumers are very active, and they would call us and say, hey, are you certified gluten-free? Not just gluten-free, are you certified? Well, if we weren't, we'd get it, like, okay, let's do this. What does that take? It's about prohibiting cross-contamination. It's about having your certifications in order and just doing that work. Same with non-GMO. Popcorn is innately non-GMO. Well, our consumers wanted to know if it was verified. So what that meant is that we had to source ingredients and get verification and guarantee that there was no cross-contamination. We can do that. Let's do that. So we did it. We built our products around the quality of ingredients and communicate to the consumers what's in the bag. Clean label, transparency on every level. What that does is that gets you noticed. The Food Processing Magazine voted voted our R&D team of the year in 2014. We were pretty proud of that. Got a lot of press, got a lot of notice with that. Then we learned how to market in a little bit more sophisticated way than just marketing to the Minnesota Vikings. We just finished up our largest national natural and organic food expo, where it's not just a food expo, we're in the food section, in Anaheim, California. That first video that you saw is if we're gonna show up, let's show up in a big way. And our product is about confidence and optimistic personality. It's about being healthy and wise about your food choices, and smart. And so let's put real women, because we're kind of a woman's product, you know. And let's put real women on little Vespas and run around and hand out samples. Things like that get noticed at big shows. So we're learning how to get noticed in every venue that we're in, and that started with our packaging. When you get noticed, you also get media. And most of this media is unsolicited. Goosebumps, somebody called us and said, hey, did you know you're in Goosebumps, the movie? And we're like, no, we didn't know that. And they sent us a clip, and we're like, how about that? Isn't that pretty cool? All right. Lastly, and I'll end here, and then we'll take questions. We use local agencies to help us develop our marketing, develop our branding, our strategy. This is a little, we've learned how to do digital online to interact. And this was a little spot that we had, digital commercial that we put online. And it is, if I just push this button, will it run? Okay, we'll try. So this is we had local talent create this song, and this is our Boomchickapop song. Oh, no, you got it. That's a long way from that garage, right? All right, thank you. Well, I'll take questions. Yes?
My question is about the branding, so it's good that you ended with that. How did you come up with the name? And your packaging has changed significantly.
Yep.
Talk about that process a little bit.
Yeah, our packaging has changed about 5 times. You know, probably not the best way to do something, but
I love the new packaging, by the way, and the smaller bags.
oh, thanks. So the store, a couple questions here, branding and rebranding, right, and the naming. So we were Angie's Kettle Corn, right, and very serious, packed, very artisanal. And in 2012, we noticed popcorn being sort of ready-to-eat popcorn being positioned in the marketplace as a healthy alternative snack. We lived as a healthy alternative snack in the natural and organic section, and we named it, so Dan and I started this together, but we named it Angie's because when we went early on in 2004 to the grocery store shelf, we when you're looking at your product as it lives in a context. Our environment is the grocery store for most part. So I go to the grocery, I look at the context of where this package is going to live. And at the time, in 2004, the popcorn brands were Cracker Jack, Dale and Thomas, Poppycock, Harry and David, Orville Redenbacher. I was like, where are the women? There are no women like represented on the package, you know? So I'm like, Dan was like, yeah, let's name it your name. I'm like, okay. You know, so we named it Angie. So we're like, because I thought, well, equal opportunity on the grocery store shelf, right? So, and we made it in an artisanal sort of looking package because that's how we imagined ourselves to be. What we discovered in that dark packaging is that people would be standing in front of our popcorn. We knew where it was, and they'd be calling or texting and saying, I can't find your package. I can't find it. Like, it was recessive on the shelf. And we really didn't have enough advertising money by any means to advertise to drive people into our shelves. So we said, okay, we've got a situation here we have to strategize with. So 2012, we said, we're going to launch, and Dan and I were kind of like this for a while. He's like, we're kettle corn. I'm like, we got to be more than kettle corn. I want a product without sugar. Look, I want a product without sugar. I want sea salt popcorn. Let's do that. So we finally decided, yep, okay, we're going to do that. Now, how are we going to do that? And I wanted it to be something more than just what we had there, because we knew we were going to change that anyway, because we had a problem to solve. So we worked with Mono, an ad agency in town. I said, look, we went back to the shelf and looked at the time, and what the snack products at the time was, here's the products that are beer, chips, kind of, you know, Doritos. Like, these are the products, like a lot of sort of masculine colors still. And then if you're a woman, here's your snack, and this is what will, and you're on a diet, right? So here's your product. Here's your snack, because you're on a diet. If you're gonna, so there were these two places in the marketplace, the regular chips and all of that stuff, and then for women, it was diet food. I'm like, you know what? I don't like that. I don't want to do that. If we're going to speak to women and we're going to provide them snacks, because they eat too, they have snacks too, we're going to do it in a way that's smart and clever and dimensional and has personality and doesn't reduce a woman to skinny, or there were out there nearly nakeds, you know, like, and I'm going to say I was the only woman at the table at the time, and our sales guys were like, Angie Skinny will sell. And I'm like, we're not doing Angie Skinny, you know? And I had to stomp my foot, you know? We're not, you know, let's do something else. And finally we were all like, okay, we're going to do something else. So we worked with Mono. We said, this is what we want. And they gave us 5 sort of versions of how to get there. And the first version they gave us that we all kind of went, woo, that's fun, was Boomchickapop. And we all started laughing. Ha ha, Boomchickapop. There was some energy there. And an analyst at the end of the table who was kind of sitting in on this meeting after this agency left, here's a lesson for agency. They're all kind of young, right? They're all young and they're all creative, and they'll take you way off. He said, you know, Boomchickapop is 70s porn. And we were like, really? How do you know this, Tom? You know, he said, I watch Friends. That's how they tease the girls, you know, boom, chicka, wow, wow. And we were like, okay, but there's something there. So we just said, okay, bring it back to the agency, these creatives, and say, connect it to the product. We love it. There's energy there. Love it. Just fix it. So they came back with Boomchickapop, and we were like, that's it. Now give us some design that will, I've got 2.5 seconds in the grocery store to capture someone's attention. And what I want is I want it to appeal to women that doesn't speak down to them. And what I want is someone to stop in front of that bag and go, wow, what is that? And they came back with our Boomchickapop yellow bag, sea salt bag. And we launched that in 2012. Within 4 months, that became our #1 selling product, which makes you go, whoa, like what just happened here? It was same recipe, new clothes. So we just said, hey, let's convert. Let's begin to transition. So we had, at that time, I'm going to say we were $32 million business. You don't just flip your brand, right? For $32 million in business at that. So we said, let's do a conversion, one SKU at a time over a course of time, and see how consumers respond. And, and because we couldn't afford consumer testing, we couldn't afford consumer focus groups, we just said, this is how and Target was willing to be a partner with us in this. And they said, yep, let's do it. We love it. We're willing to take that risk with you. And so each time we converted the Angie's Light kettle corn into, it used to be Angie's Light kettle corn. We turned it into Angie's Boomchickapop Lightly Sweet. It started turning 2 and 3 times velocity on shelf just in the new package. So we completed that rebranding the end of 2014. And so for a while, we were in the marketplace kind of fractured looking, but now we're all settled, and we're all Angie's Boomchickapop, and we launched any new products got launched under Boomchickapop. And so, since that time, we've with that package and with that design and with that brand position, we've now had Publix and Kroger and Walmart just took us on. So we've had additional distribution that we would have never gotten in our previous sort of brand position and package. So huge risk to the business. We did it slowly. We did it carefully. And that was, I think, maybe the 4th or 5th time we had actually changed packaging. I think packaging is never done. I'll tell you that. We're still looking at our packaging now to make sure that we're communicating clearly. There's not going to be a new brand looking out there, but we're going to, it's about honing. It's always about honing your brand, about communicating clearly. So we're working on it. Does that answer your question? Okay, yeah.
Curious if you do employee profit sharing, and if you do, what is it based on? What metrics do you, sorry. I'm curious if you do employee profit sharing, and if you do, what metrics do you base it on?
Yeah, so the first time we worked with a private equity company that came in 2012, we didn't understand private equity, didn't know what it was. They were soliciting us for 3 years, and we just delete. We're like, who are these guys? What do they want, And we didn't understand it, We were profitable. We're like, I don't think we need their money. But when we came to the point where we actually had a private equity out of Boston, Sherbrooke Capital, that came in and said, look, we're just not about money. Here's our portfolio of companies. They were all in our space. And we wanted to be able to grant shares to employees. So they helped us set up an employee equity pool at that time. And so since that time, that's how we've done it. We've set up employee equity pool with granted shares and an opportunity for some higher level employees to buy in at A shares as well. So then there's also so we have that. And then 2012, their investment thesis was a 3 to 5 year. They put a book together. They were interested in exiting that their second round of funding. And so last year, no, it wasn't last year, 2014, in the fall, TPG purchased a majority share. And at that point, all of our employees had an event that had equity shares. And it was a pretty incredible day, or actually 3 days, where we sat down with every employee and explained to them the value of those shares that they were granted. And I'm going to tell you, it was the best day of my career, ever, because Dan and I started this to create a fund for our kids for college. And I had 100 employees say, I'm going to be able to send my kids to college and not worry. That was a pretty emotional day for us. So now we also have an additional employee equity pool with B and A shares, and then also a bonus program based upon top line sales and EBITDA for the year.
Thank you.
Yep. Yes.
Tell me a little bit about your pricing, because I would think, if you're in the organic section and you're in the regular section, did you get a price premium over being in one part?
If you're organic, yes.
Organic.
Yeah. So we have an organic product that the standard premium for organics in the marketplace that retailers will tolerate is about 20%. Our raw materials are 50% higher, but retailers will tolerate about 20% premium on organic. Now, it depends on which channel, right? So in food, you have different channels. You have specialty, you have conventional, you have natural and organic, you have club, you have mass. So you have to have a channel strategy. And if you're ever interested in going into Costco, the volume that they do requires that they have about a 20% discount on because of the volume that they do. So if you have business with Costco, you have to absolutely protect that premium that they have, or you'll lose that business with them. So
Did you private label? Have you ever private label?
no, we don't private label.
Okay.
Yep.
I was wondering.
Yep. All right. All right. One more question.
So just going back to the private equity question, just was curious about kind of the decision processes that kind of went through that, and especially as it would align with you and Dan and your motivations long term, and especially some of the ideals that you live up to. Because the private equity firms, it sounds like they're out of town, and TPG is a big firm.
They're big, yeah.
And so I was just wondering the thought process that went into that, and now you have a majority owner that's not from the region.
Here's how I think of private equity. You're getting married. Two businesses are getting married, right? And so it's about understanding each other, and it's about communicating. It's about alignment. It's about managing that communication. They were interested, and they were big enough to bring operational resources to us that we needed at the stage of our development. They have operational specialists that they came in and they did all the analysis, which then resulted in us understanding that we could open a new plant, which we just did in Reno, Nevada, to reduce freight costs. We're shipping air across the country. They could bring value because they had such expertise in this operational realm that we needed. And so the one thing that I would say from a founder's perspective, founders need money, but they need networks. They need expertise. They know that, I don't think we worried about money. We worried about money, believe me, it's not. We didn't worry that we couldn't. We had 10 banks say no to us for sure when we needed to build out our plant, but we found a way, and we found a bank then, and we got it done. So we never thought that we couldn't get money, right? And money, every founder that I've ever met knows that there's a way to find money. It's what they need from private equity is they need their expertise, and they need a track record to get them connected to a sales force and operational expertise. And because as a founder, we didn't know anything really about, I knew how to staff a factory because I knew how to staff a hospital, but I don't know SQF. I don't know, we didn't know how to get through a Costco audit, but we had a clean plant. We didn't, you know what I mean? So you need that kind of stuff, or you need private equity's network that they have. And so for us at the stage we were in, we did a courting process with a number of companies, and ultimately TPG was the company that offered us. And we actually talked with strategics as well, which meant for us at the time, if we went with a strategic, which is big food, right, that would mean probably most of our employees would be probably exiting the company because that's how they bring value. TPG, that was not their investment thesis at the time. And so we just weren't done with our team yet, And so we've been able to add to the team, actually, and enhance the team through some of their expertise. So it met our needs, and they were interested in the brand. They had vision for the brand, and they've been a terrific partner. Okay, great. Thank you so much.
I have a question. Yes. Over the last few forums, the speakers have talked about the importance of scaling the organization and how you scale the people and the culture. And you talked about a day when you had 100, or a short period of time when you had 100 people come on board. Culture is at risk. How did you do that, and how have you continued to do that?
A really good HR director helps. It's really, it's out knowing your people. Like that, I can't emphasize that enough. Founders and leadership within an organization have to be on the ground. Like the most important people in our business are the ones that actually make the popcorn. That's how we think about it. Because if they're not doing well, then we're not doing well, you know. And it's hard for a sales team to sell a product that is mediocre, right? It was all about, you know, and whatever we can do to serve those folks that are actually making the product, that's our job. From leadership down, we're serving what otherwise, it's flipped upside down, right? Like, you may be leading, but if you're not in there, like, if you're not in there next to the people that are actually doing what they do, then you don't have the pulse of the people that are working for you. There was a time, our first Costco MVM, we were the first a Costco MVM is when they put you in the coupon book, right? That first time we did it, you do 5 times in a month what you do with them generally. So how do you gear up for 5 times, you know, the amount of business in 1 month, you know? So it takes planning, it takes a team. I mean, we couldn't keep up, you know, 3 shifts and overtime. We just did an all call to the main office, and this was in 2013, early 2013. Hey, anybody in the office that can go over and relieve someone in the plant so they can have lunch or whatever, or they did that. We had accountants go in popcorn, or help put bags in, you know, help do cases, and you know, so people could have lunch. And so, I mean, Dan was popping kettle corn, I was scrubbing kettles, you know, at midnight. You know, this is what you do when you have a business. And I'm going to say that our employees still talk about that like it was the best thing that ever happened. And really, you don't think about it as a leader. Like, when you do that, you connect to the people in a way that you don't by just telling them what to do. If you're working side by side, and on some level, if you can get in there and do that, it changes everything. And I would say that's been our key is to have that leadership flipped to where the leaders are serving the people below them instead of the other way around.
Great. Any other questions before we close? And then I have one last question, more about sort of the economic development environment. So having been a growth company past 2 and through second stage, what can communities do to better serve companies like yours and those in the audience as they scale? Because what you've done is not common. I mean, companies and what you've experienced is uncommon, and the communities don't always know what that's about. So what could you share with people here, but also with the communities, of how we can better serve you as a leader of a growth company?
Well, there are pressure points during the development of a business, and there are times, let's just say, our first very large account, which we needed to get. I mean, it looked like on the horizon, there's our success. You know, up until that point, we were out of money, right? So we had a bank, Southern Minnesota Initiative Foundation, Region 9, and the City of North Mankato Port Authority helped us fund our build-out which was tremendously helpful, helped us fund our build-out for production, and then gave us a line of credit. We couldn't get any more credit. I mean, that was it. Nobody was gonna give us anything else. And yet we had just landed the biggest account ever, and there was no way for us to find money to buy the inventory to service that account, okay? So that's a pressure point. You're stuck. So what did we do? I mean, this is what entrepreneurs will do. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't work. We started looking at our 0% credit cards. And we just said, okay, we called up and we said, Capital One, we need a $100,000 line of credit. They checked our credit report. They gave it to us on the phone. We were in business. We were like, okay, now we can buy raw materials. And we never looked back. I mean, those are the kinds of small things that community banks, although, you know, I can see it's hard for them to do that, but to understand the pressure points of entrepreneurs and kind of help walk them through to get to that point when they see it there, because it's so close so many times and you just can't quite get there because of finance because of access to cash. And so those are the kinds of things that I think as a community. The other thing I would say is that we were a benefactor of private, public, nonprofit, all joining together to fund us. And so these community organizations work together for private business, for us, which we then created jobs and, you know, and a story for our community, and then, you know, contributed to the community. So in Mankato, it's been working pretty well that way. So those community organizations working well together help small business.
Great. Well, thank you, and let's give her a round of applause.
Thanks. Thank you, Steve.
Angie, thank you for your story, and thank you for all that you've done for Mankato and the state of Minnesota and beyond. We're going to close. I wanted to make note that our next forum, next month, the 21st, which is moving to a Thursday, we'll move to the east side of town. We'll be over in Roseville at the Veritas office, formerly Symantec. So the monthly programs, we move because some of the people on the east side maybe can't travel over here and vice versa. So next month, you got to make a trek to the other side of town. You're welcome. We'll have another great speaker, and we look forward to seeing you then. Thank you all.